This is I Don't Want to Fit In podcast. I'm Anung, a fellow multi-passionate artist, author, photographer, poet, writer, and everything I feel like doing. Talking about all the ways we can be creative, from hobbies to full-time incomes. Going over tips and tricks, mindsets, and just the joys of putting what we love out into the world. You can follow me on Instagram at I Don't Want to Fit In podcast and Anung V. Reviewing and leaving comments is always a great and free way to support an artist. Over the years, life has kind of shown us that art is important. I mean, through all this pandemic and everything else, we've all gotten TV shows we've been watching, different movies, different books and everything out, and a lot of music too that honestly made us feel a little more like we were connected, which has actually been pretty good, especially when we were stuck kind of being isolated. We're all stuck at home and we didn't always have the chance to get out and see people. For some people that was really hard. I mean, for me being an introvert, it wasn't as bad because I did actually live with my parents for a little bit because that was perfect timing at the time where my dad actually got cancer, and I was partially came here for helping him out because we weren't sure how well he was going to take the treatment and everything else. But the thing is, like, it gave us a way to connect with other people and just more like explore and relax with what art was. And everything, people kind of forget how much we use what is art and creativity in our everyday. Like what TV counts as that. Watching movies, animes, mangas, books, all the music we do. Podcasting is its own way art and entertainment. Like the YouTube videos that we see, like going on different social medias. And the thing is that it gave us a connection to the world when we kind of needed it. And each of us needed that connection more than we actually thought. Like, it pretty much brought up to us how much we really needed it. And the thing is, like, art is something special to us. It should be something we should actually not take for granted, because it is kind of what helps us makes us human. Like, not just the biological stuff of, like, we stand up straight, we have opposable thumbs. Like, art is a way of expression. It's an exploration of us, of who we are inside and out, of the world around us. I mean, practically a lot of the ideas for mythologies out there was an art form, and how we talked about the stories, how we taught lessons. And it's not only that these things kind of helped us like improve our lives mentally and like physically, it helped us to appreciate what's around us, which does improve quality of life, which is of course very important, but also it improves our moods, it improves the ability to solve problems, it opens our minds to new ideas. I mean, there's been countless studies over all this stuff about how good art, creativity, and everything else just relieves stress and all these other things. So it's kind of one of those things, if you just we always seem to take it for granted. We don't always take the time to appreciate it because it's always there. We always have mediums for it. But it's not just like the science doesn't just make it important, because honestly, art is its own language. It's the small things that we can communicate with such thoughts. Like, again, I know a lot of people heard the saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Like, there are ways through different arts, all the different mediums, whether it's pictures, whether it's sculpting, paintings, lyrics for certain things, poems, that it can express more than what it's giving. Like, it can do it with even things that are just mediums of actual words. It gives more. It has more subtlety. It has different meanings. It has undertones of stuff. And things also, it is a way for us to share parts of ourselves, especially things that are too hard to speak of, or things that we can't seem to put into just like logical, like an explanation, like in a conversation. Like, sometimes what you're showing needs to be shown in a painting. The despair that you feel, or the disappointment of a certain situation. And it helps us push as a society. It reminds us of what we should not be forgotten. Like, there's all these different artworks from different protests out there. Like, here in Minnesota, we have several art pieces out in Minneapolis and around the state for like George Floyd. There's like statues for events from like the Holocaust. I know like in Japan, I think it's Hachi is the dog that is a very well-known dog in history that did so much for, I think, the town that they had. But the thing is also, it gives us new perspectives on things we've seen over and over again. I can't remember which one of the examples my favorite one was there was like certain art there, like they show you kind of like the pictures that it was like it showed like the actual photography of like the event and everything else, and then they also showed some of the paintings of what people had to interpret. I think it was like a Hindenburg or something. God, it's been so long since I've seen it. Like, it was a picture of like the Hindenburg going up in flames, but other ones were just like pictures where they had like the history of the people working on it, which is a different way to see it, or the darkness of it because it was such a disaster that shouldn't have happened. Like all these different little things that show same event but in different ways. And the thing is also, art is our record keeper. It gives us an easier way to keep things, because I mean, we all know not everyone knows or learns a certain way. Like just reading in a history book isn't going to be enough for some people. Like sometimes they want the picture, sometimes they want the story, sometimes they want hearing it audibly of someone recounting what they had to go through, what they felt, how it impacted the rest of their life. And the thing is, like, these are personal journals laid bare. It opens our eyes to things we do not want to see, but it pushes us to go deeper and fly higher. And so I want everyone to take a moment to appreciate the art that you have in your life, even if it's just appreciating the TV shows you love, the mangas that I've read. Like, especially for me in like high school, the books I read kept me sane. The music I listened to when I was studying abroad kept me grounded. Like all these little things that I want to make sure I appreciate. I appreciate the poetry that I'm finding again that I absolutely love. Even just the few videos out there that I absolutely enjoy just watching, just for the fun of it, just for a moment to get out of my head, or the time for me to really think about what I want to do with my life. Like they can be the biggest things, they can be small things, but we should take the time to actually figure out what we take from art and why we should appreciate it.